Okay, looks like everybody's getting in here. Nice crowd of folks. How are you tonight, everybody? Hope you're doing well. I'm going to break this chat here real quick so I can see a little bit better. And we have some new things to talk about tonight. Going to go through what happened today as the Chiefs open phase one, which is basically strength conditioning, rehab, etc. Like they're not going to do any major drills, get the whole team out there or anything like that. So just some basic information today, but still something that's worth noting. So I think it's going to be a really interesting thing to see how they go this next couple of days, getting things going. So as everybody's starting to feel in here, nice to see you all, Billy, Adam, Gary. I'm glad to see you guys are back and around. We had a big day the other day, crossed 8,000 subscribers. So thank you guys for spreading the word. It's definitely a milestone. The next one's going to be 10K. At 10K, I can give you guys some new kind of things, a little bit more functionality as you step through the tiers of YouTube. So, Hog Farmer, how are you, Count Ripula? So as we get through that, keep spreading the word. If we can get to 10K before, say, camp, then I'll have some new things for you coming this season. So pretty excited about that. And I'm also excited about the fact that the Chiefs got going and got their players in-house. And first and foremost, I've gotten a lot of questions about Tyreek Hill. And so I guess we'll just start with him as I get this mic adjusted. Just had a minute or two with Matt Derrick a little bit ago, and we're going to record, I think, Wednesday's podcast here when this is over. So Tyreek Hill back in the fold. Andy Reid didn't want to talk about it. Can't say that I blame him. There's really nothing to say because they're waiting for the official investigation to continue. I know that they've reported it to the NFL, so I got to think NFL security is going to be looking at it as well, working with the police department, et cetera. So, we'll get something when they get something, and I think they will have eventually either a conclusion of the investigation or announcement of some kind. So, hey, folks, welcome in. I see you guys coming in there. Norman and D'Angelo, Steven, how are you guys? Aaron, how are you? I want to thank Aaron. I know you asked about the Athletic Matrix. Thank you for grabbing that. And for all of you guys, I want to give you a shout out. If you use the code RGR on the purchase form for the Athletic Matrix draft guide, you get a couple of bucks off. So it saves you over 20%. So check that out. It's at rogueapc.com. And it's something I work on real hard. This is my third draft guide, third year running. And I've been working on it for about 8 years. So there's a lot of data to back it all up. So check that out, rogueapc.com. That's my draft guide that you can kind of put with whoever's film grades you want to put with. And I always recommend Dane Brugler, who's just came out today. So you might want to check that out over at The Athletic. So as we continue down that, the Matrix is something we're going to talk about in a bit when we get to the draft portion. But a couple of nuggets came out of today, aside from the Tyreek Hills. So Hills in the fold, they're going to go through that. When we know something, we'll know something, and then we'll talk about it. But I had a bunch of guys in that are obviously new to the team, trying to get the lay of land, trying to figure out, how they fit both with their teammates and in their position rooms. And one thing that I found interesting is that I didn't realize this going forward, or before, that Emmanuel Ogbah and Chris Jones actually trained together in their pre-draft run-up. So they've been friends for quite a while, and they let that out today. And another interesting thing is that when that trade happened, Chris Jones was the first one to reach out to Ogbah. So they have that bond already. And I have a feeling that we're going to see Ogbah in with Chris Jones on the interior some. I think both he and Breland Speaks have capability to come in down into a 3-tech in that nickel front in particular to play with Chris. And I like the idea of guys that have been, pass rushers coming in with Chris Jones. And I think you can do a lot of things. Steve Spagnuolo has run the NASCAR setup before, and we've seen that a little bit in Kansas City with Sutton. Where it's really just one down lineman and a bunch of pass rushers, right? Whether they're outside linebackers, DNs, doesn't really matter. It's that they're edge guys that are coming to play inside on guards, as well as more edge guys on the tackles. So it gives you a pass rush advantage. And I think it's a really great scheme to use sporadically when you have to get pressure. So I think it's going to be something that we see from this group. And I think Ogbah could be one guy that plays maybe more significant snaps than we realize inside with Jones. So Michael Willis, no, I don't think they're going to pick up Sue. I'll get to the questions here in a little bit, you guys. Just hold off for a minute or two. The other thing that's real interesting, and we've been talking a lot about the cornerback situation because I think it's still an area of big need, and so does Bashaud Breeland. Breland came in today, spoke with the media, also did an interview with BJ Kissel, where he talked about being a mentor and understanding that, yeah, I hope they draft another guy. If the feeling gets that the team is looking at cornerback as well to continue to add to that group, where you have Fuller and now Breland to be role models, to be mentors, to be guys that have the experience and can help the new guy adjust. Now, Javarius Ward isn't to be counted out. I just don't think that he's really somebody that can lock down one side of the field. So there is going to be an addition. And I think Bashaud Breeland really emphasized that and confirmed that today. So if you're one of those that was thinking that, hey, there's no corners in this draft group that are better than what they have, I think you're wrong. And I think the Chiefs think you're wrong. So look for that. They are going to add. Cool Mars, thanks for the donation. I forgot to say that. Folks, if any of you want to donate to the channel and help me keep it running, you can hit the little super chat. It's the little $sign at the bottom of the chat. So I appreciate that. Cool Mars, I hope you saw my note. I left you a couple of replies about your guy, Mike Bell. So those are on from last week's video and the video before. And since you brought it up, tonight's beer, Luna, is a Kolsch from Ecliptic, in Portland. Great beer and kind of lighter, it's warming up. So I'm starting to get into the summer mode. The red ale that I made 2 weeks ago is gone. So, hey, time to move on. So again, what we get is that a kind of feeling about where the Chiefs are going. Does that mean that the top of the draft class for corners is going to change? No, I still think Byron Murphy's the best corner in this group, especially instinctually. And that's not going to change, but it might change the way the Chiefs look at this draft. And if he's right, because that's the other thing Bashaud Breeland said, is that he was told they're going to play man. And that this drift towards zone, even though Spags will do it, he's going to mix it in no matter what, because he always has. I think maybe that's going to put them less on the Byron Murphy train, because I think he's got to play off man to be successful. So we'll see what comes down to that, and hopefully we'll know more in the next few days. Binder Believer, how are you? Hope that scout's running well. And I'm glad you brought it up. Trade rumors. And Matt Masters, I know you said something about it. Sean Larson. We're going to answer these all together because there's trade rumors about edge rushers. And the Chiefs moved on from D4 because he didn't fit the scheme. Not because they don't need edge pressure. They do need it. But looking at somebody, Clowney and Clark are on the franchise tag. So no matter what you do, you got to negotiate a contract. Because I don't think you want to franchise them 2 years in a row. Because even though it's a different team that put the tag on them, it's still going to account. So I think that's the biggest quandary about it. I think it's the hardest part is, can you get value? Frank Clark had some off-field things before he was drafted. He's been well-received in Seattle, but he's a guy that's gotten 10-plus sacks and 50-plus pressures each of the last 3 seasons. Yet the Seahawks want to move on from him. So I'm not sure what that means. I don't think there's any way to be sure. So I think Clark may be the big rumor right now. And I know there's a couple of people who have been right in the past that have some ties to some agents around the league and that kind of thing that are hearing the same thing. But I'm not sure that that's going to get done, because that just seems a little fishy. And quite honestly, that contract's going to be pretty big. Same thing with Clowney. Clowney's a 3-4 guy, and the Chiefs have clearly moved out of that scheme. So I don't think Clowney's going to be a fit in Kansas City going forward. So that's what it's going to be. You never know what's going to come, but, we'll see. Binder, you're welcome. Devil's Advocate, thanks. David Rice, thank you. I appreciate the donation. David, come back and hit me with a question, though. If you guys donate to the channel, I make sure to give you an answer to your questions. Cool Mars. Yeah, Murphy's great. Getting him, I think he's going to be, it sounds like there's going to be a rush there in the 20s. The Chiefs may have to move up if they want to get one of the premier corners with their first pick. I think they're going to have to be somewhere between 15 and 21 if they want to get a corner, either Greedy or Murphy. And I think those are the two that are really the first round guys that you want to go get. There's a lot of talk about Baker getting back into the first round. A lot of talk about Rocky Sin being a first rounder. And I think they're fringes. I think that could happen, but I think they're fringes. I think anybody that you're worth going up to get, Greedy's the man cover, Murphy's the off man zone guy. So if they want one and they want one bad, then that's what they're going to have to do. So we'll see what happens. I think there are some speed rushers available later in the draft. They're going to help there. So, there's options is my point. So, let's see here. Going on to questions. Here we go. Yes, Chris Anderson, and Byron Murphy is exactly like Marcus Peters, a little bit more productive in the PBUs and interceptions in college, but plays a very similar game from the same scheme. So yeah, you could fit that, especially I think Spags is going to be a little more receptive to that. But it sounds like from what Breland said today that they're expecting to play a lot of man. So I don't know that is what Murphy's strength is or what the Chiefs feel his strength is. Harold Jones Quarty, I've seen him mention study me in passing, but I haven't seen any film on him. I haven't seen anybody really stomping for him. So not on my list of guys that I've watched. Any chance, Kevin Pippen, good question. Any chance they go for Andy Isabella? I think there could be. I think he fits in that slot role that the Chiefs do need. But I think he's overhyped right now. He's not a second round player. He's like a fourth round player. I don't think that you can put him out on the outside, incredibly well. I think he's got some things that he does well and some things that he doesn't do well. I don't think you want to look for him blocking in the run game. So yeah, I think it's going to be later than a lot of expectations. Adam Daughtry, how are you, buddy? I haven't heard anything about Alan Bailey. Don't know if he's in serious negotiations or if he's just not finding a home. I think if they wanted to, they would have brought him back by now. Oval Cow, do you think a round one receiver and a round one cornerback would have a bigger impact on the team? I think it's corner. I think they need it. I think right now they expect to have Ty Hill unless something else comes out. So I think they're feeling fairly set. A wide receiver 3 is not a priority compared to a cornerback. Coverage is more important. Let's see here. Gary Holland, do you think edge rusher Ja'Kai Polite? I could see Polite. I liked what he did on film in some occasions. I don't know what he's done this offseason. Looks like he's gained weight and gotten slower and not as good. So his film is still solid, but I don't trust what he's done. I don't trust his attitude. Quite frankly, he's, the latest in a string of Florida players that has really bombed the pre-draft process. So yeah, if you're talking, 93 or day 3 pick, I have no problem with it, but I'm not spending any draft capital that I'm going to be sad to lose if the guy just flames out and pulls a Randy Gregory or something. So that's where I stand on him. Ian Miller Schultz, thanks for the donation. And you ask, what are your thoughts on the Chiefs going after AJ Green with a second round pick or Pat Peterson? They're not going after AJ Green. They don't need him. They don't want him. They have a guy that can play the X and Sammy, and I think that's what they're happy with. It would be too costly in order to cost your future to get AJ Green. And he's an older guy. I don't think that that's something that you want to go. But Pat Peterson, on the other hand, is still playing at an elite level. I think you can get him out of Arizona, and I think he upgrades this defense, which is in sore need, instantly with Breland and Fuller. So yeah, I'd like to see him go after it. Use a 2. That's fine. At first, I was okay with a first-round pick for him. I'm not sure if I am any longer. As the time goes on, I think the cost goes down. So I think now you're talking a 2 or maybe 2 2s, and I can live with that. Going on. Harold Joe, okay. Cool Mars, like I said, I haven't watched Jones Quarterly. I don't know. I can try to take a look. Dream tree picks. I don't really dream of picks. I think they need to fill holes at edge, corner, and middle linebacker, maybe nickel linebacker, depending on your point of view. All those things will help. Sam, I agree with you. Although I think Cleveland Farrell's going to be down in the lower 20s. I don't know if he's going to make it to 29, but Farrell might be there. I hear a lot of teams are coming off of him. And Adderley is the top safety, especially at the free safety on my board. So my board will be out next week. I'll probably do a video about it. I'll definitely have it out so you guys can download it from the Twitter feed, et cetera, et cetera. And that'll be my positional board across everything. So look for that, and you guys can get that next week. FN 2187, this is you going rogue. Kelsey will probably retire a Chief. He may move on eventually after this contract. I don't know, but we'll find out. Crooked Cash, how are you, pal? Wait, I just missed something. Somebody jumped in. Paddock, I'm glad you made it for alive. I know it's tough. Thanks for coming. If Rashawn Gary, low lip, if Rashawn Gary falls to 29, as he very well could, do we take him over a corner? No, I do not think so. People like to call him super athletic. He's not super bendy. He's not a bendy edge rusher. He's another power guy. And you're talking about spending another first round pick when they just got Breland Speaks, along with Agba and Okafor. I think he's more of the same. I don't think he separates himself. He may be better down the line, but I think they need help right now. So no, I would take one of the top corners over Rashawn Gary myself. Colby Chastain, if Brett Veach at pick 29, what would you do? I'd probably try to move up into the low teens or the upper 20s, or I would move back and pick up another day 2 pick. They can get 4 or 5 day 2 picks. They can fill a lot of problems on this defense and a lot of depth as well. So that's what I'd do. Mahomes, CZN, thoughts on Honey Badger saying the defense won't be the little brother to a high-powered offense. I like that, and that's what they brought him here for. The Chiefs signed Tyrann Mathieu to be the leader on at least the back end of the defense and to pair with Chris Jones to be the leaders on that defense overall. And he brings an attitude. He's a guy that struggled. If you guys ever saw, what he did going into the draft, his pre-draft process with Barwin, when he was training and everything, there were some ups and downs. He's clearly matured, and the Chiefs are betting on him being a leader, and I think that's what he's trying to show. John, thank you. I appreciate that. Jeremy Olson, what's going on with Zac Brown? Zac Brown's getting older, and he used to be able to cover. I'm not sure that the Chiefs feel he can do that as well. I think they got burned a little bit with Hitch. I don't think he's quite up to par with what they thought he could be. We'll see if he can turn that around in this new scheme, but I think that's probably why Zac Brown, and Hitch is making a lot of money at that position. So, KC Chief fan 58. Do you think McKenzie could start at left guard anytime soon? I'm seeing some good things. Mitch Schwartz had something nice to say about him today. But it is a process. I don't know about starting, but I'd like to see him get some reps. And I think it's going to be a good push along that interior about who's going to get some playing time. There's a lot of guys in there right now. I don't know if they're going to go for a center like Bradbury or somebody to really plug in there as the starter. They may just let those guys battle it out and see what happens. What do I think about going wide receiver in the first round from Calvin Rust? Good question. I think if that's the top guy on the board, and I have both the Browns, Marquise Brown and AJ Brown, as round 1 receivers, but I have them really low, like 25 and below. If the Chiefs agree with me and they have them in the first round and all their other first round grades are gone, then I think it's reasonable to see Brett Veach stick with his board and take a receiver. And I think that would be one of them. I think Brown's going to go before. I think Hollywood's going to go before that, but AJ may be there. So yeah, I'm okay with that if that's the best guy on their board. KC Warrior, what do you think about Michael Jackson from Miami? I think he's solid, but not flashy. I don't know that he's going to beat out Javarius Ward, at least this season. He may eventually, but he's an investment in time. I think it's not an immediate impact as much as I would like. Gary, what do you think about the Chiefs drafting Julian Love or Rock Ya-Sin? I am a fan of Julian Love. He's going to be a second-round pick, maybe deep enough to stay at 61 and get him. I don't think so. I think he's probably going to be in the low 40s or upper 50s. I like Julian Love a lot. He's well-rounded. He can play every scheme. He's got ball skills, and that's, when it comes to how I rate corners, it's about ball production. Can you stop passes and get PBUs, and can you take the ball away and get picks? And that's what I'm looking for. In the athletic matrix, you can see the hawk rate, and that's where I break down targets versus how much you produce on the ball. And Julian Love is right up there with the best of them. I like Love a lot. I think Rock Ya-Sin's a little challenged depth-wise, and they're going to scheme around that. They're going to pick him. They're going to try to get him stuck where he has to run deep, and that's not his forte. But I think at the first 10 yards, Rock Ya-Sin's a good corner. I have him as a second rounder. I don't know where the Chiefs have him. So we'll see what that comes from. Yep. Dre Pryor answered yours as well. Sam, you're right. He can play some man, but off man's better for Byron Murphy from the film that I've seen. And I've done about 6 games of Byron Murphy and Taylor Rapp. So we'll talk about Rapp in a little bit. We're gonna talk about him a lot on the podcast later this week as well. And for those of you that don't follow the Locked On Chiefs podcast, make sure you check that out. I have it coming on to YouTube, but really it's a podcast on audio on Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts. And our mothership, it's a part of the Locked On Network, and the Locked On Network is doing a mock draft for every host of every team. And Chris and I made the selection for the Chiefs at 29. That'll be on Friday's show. But it's really interesting to see how the thing evolves. And if you want to get a feel for where teams are feeling, you should check that out on Locked On NFL. Okay, getting into it here. Answered yours. Colin, who's my top linebacker? Devin White. I like Devin Bush, but he's a little undersized for me. I think he's going to be a great nickel. He's going to be like a Deion Jones type, but I'd take White over him. Scott Willis, thanks for your donation. What do you think of how do you think the Chiefs will blitz? Spags likes to send the strong safety, so I think he's going to like Dan Sorensen. I think we're going to see that quite a bit. And I know that he understands to get players into the A gaps. That's why I think Reggie Ragland is not the biggest disadvantage that a lot of people feel like. Because Reggie can blitz. He rushed as an end sometimes at Alabama. And we saw him chase the quarterback pretty well last season. So I expect to see some A-gap with the linebackers and a lot of safety blitzes. Dr. Sanitary, thoughts about possibly picking up Jamie Collins cheap after the draft? I think he's a good player. I don't think you're going to get him cheap, though. So I think that's kind of a stretch. A player of his caliber, at his experience level, he's going to get paid. Gary Neal, should the Chiefs take a receiver first since they got 2 picks? And yeah, I'm perfectly fine with that if it's the right guy. DK Metcalf is not the right guy. Trading up for DK Metcalf is not the right guy. Hakeem Butler is not a first-round wide receiver. He's just not. Between the routes and the drops and everything else, he's a second-round guy. So if you feel like you really like Hakeem Butler, that's fine. Just wait till the second day. They'd probably have to drop back into the 40s, maybe low 50s to get him. I think that's where he'd go. That's where he should go. Billy Gottschalk, what about using a hands RB as a slot receiver? Tried it, done it, hasn't worked out very well. So I think they need, and I think Andy wants to go back to a big slot, somebody like Jason Avant, but they definitely need a slot receiver. Just plugging in a running back out there is good for matchups when you motion him out of the backfield, but you don't want to do it in your base defense. So that's what I think anyway. Blake, do you know if the Chiefs are looking at Gerald McCoy? I don't think they are. They're not interested in aged veterans. Maybe a guy like Clark because he's still only 25. He hasn't done his second contract yet, but I don't think they're looking at somebody like McCoy. Maybe Jalen Ramsey, but Jalen Ramsey's, he's trouble in his own locker room, and he's going to be quite expensive when you have to re-sign him. So I don't think they're going to look at Ramsey either. Shade, I think. Shade? Yeah. If the Chiefs stay at pick 29, what player will be there, and who do you like? I like a lot of players at 29. Bradbury might be one, the center. I think Farrell may be there, the edge rusher. Yasin's going to be there, I'm almost certain. And I think there could be another corner. I think Rapp's definitely going to be there. I think Nasir Adderley's probably going to be there. And I think they're both good. I think you can move back from 29 into the 30s, maybe mid 40s, and still get Taylor Rapp, though. And I like the way that he plays. He's just as athletic as Dan Sorensen, but he's way more productive on the ball. So I'm good with that. Next question. Trey Boston, the Cardinals, is he a free agent? Yes, Gomars, Trey Boston is still a free agent. He has not signed. He played for Dave Merritt last year when Dave was on the Cardinals staff and is now the Chiefs secondary coach. And they haven't brought him in. So there's some reason, I don't know what it is, but I don't think they're looking at Trey Boston. Ethan Hunt, how much is of a possibility is Frank Clark? I don't know. I think the Hawks are going to want to drive a good bargain, and I don't know that the Chiefs want to set themselves up to pay a franchise player and then have to give him a big contract. Did you give Aaron Morrow? I did give Seth some static about not helping me out, so I plugged it into the middle at the commercial break. And again, folks, Seth helps sometimes, but he gets caught up in the film, and My Athletic Matrix is outside of that. So if you want to check it out, use that code RGR on rogueapc.com to get the Athletic Matrix draft guide. And I'll give you some more information when we go to draft night. I'll be doing these lives as the Chiefs pick, especially if they trade up. So look for that as well. Tyreek is with the Chiefs right now. A couple of you guys asking about that. Ben, I'm not sure about Eric Fisher's contract. I think he's got this year and 2020. They may be able to walk away from it at that point. I don't know that they want to. So I can take a look at that later after the draft, when we have some downtime in the offseason. Yes, Mike or John Mike Dub, I do think they trade up. Craig Murphy, hi. This one's for you. What do you think of the rumors from Sean Larson about the Chiefs trading for Xavier Rhodes? I think it's a wish list. I don't think it's real. I honestly don't think that the Vikings want to trade him. I think they want to push him and motivate him, but I don't think they want to trade him. Focus G, I think the Chiefs O-line is athletic. I think they're a little underpowered in general, but I think they can get the job done. I think that quarterback makes them better. So, Binder, again, thank you. Which DB has the biggest impact in year one? I feel like the safety has the biggest impact because it's such a bad spot right now. We don't know if Armani Watts is going to be able to play. We have no idea. Didn't see anything about him reporting healthy today. Don't know about Lucas playing free. If he plays up, I think he's better at coverage in tight in the first 10 yards, but I don't like him at free. I think Matthews wasted when he can't move around and be cagey. So I don't like him at free as much either. So I think that allows Matthew, a true free safety like Adderley, allows Matthew to be the most that he can be for this defense. After that, it would be the corner because if you can get a good one, especially if you trade for one, you can lock it down. Yes, thank you for that question and the donation. I appreciate it, Bonner. Let's see, where'd you go? Oh, you guys are flying with the questions now. I'm slowing down. The Chiefs really need a center, or can they get one in the draft? Cool Mars. They could get one in the draft. I don't know that they need one, and I don't know how they feel about it. So we're going to have to just kind of hold our breath and see what happens. Ryan Gordon, there's a good vibe in the Chiefs locker room. Yeah, there is. They seem ready to go from what we saw today. Jake Bauman, do you see last year's draft class making bigger impact this season? Drafting a corner, center, wide receiver should be our top needs at the moment. Yeah, I don't know about center, but I'm with you on the corner, and the wide receiver is a good pickup. And yeah, I do think they'll play a bigger impact. I think Dorian Daniels in for a bigger role this season. I think Speaks definitely is. And I think Nadi's going to pick up where he left off, and I thought he had a real good year last year. So, let's see. Good-looking honky, whoever you are banned. You are not allowed on this channel again. Get out of here. I don't want to see that crap. All right, moving on. Norman Schreck, third receiver takes Conley's place. I don't think he's on the roster yet. I think they like DeMarcus Robinson, but I don't think he's really what they need. And I like Dieter coming up. I think he's going to get better. Gabino, yeah, I think he will be on this roster. I think if he was going to be arrested or indicted, I don't think that he would be here right now. I think it would have been done already. What's up, Rev Dog? Chris Anderson, I answered your question a little bit earlier. Just kind of hit back and you'll find it. Daryl Miller, what do you think of Brett Veach? I think Brett Veach is ultimately confident. I think he's aggressive, and I think he's doing a very good job. Is he taking some chances? Yeah. I think the Speaks was a projection. I think he feels like he can play better, especially in this system. I think they may have gotten him knowing they were going to a four-man front. And I am really looking forward to seeing what he can do. And I think Veach is making those calculated risks. If they work, great. If they don't, you got to give him a little leeway. But he's not doing things like like Dorsey did with Kavari Russell in the second-round pick that doesn't even make the roster. So I'm happy so far with Veach, and we'll continue to talk about him as we go along. Talked about that. Ethan Rottenhouse, been here for a month or two. What do you think of the first pick if cornerback says about what the defense Spags wants to run? I think it'll say a lot. I think especially the top two are very scheme specific. They can both play a little of both, but they definitely are stronger in either zone versus man. And when I say zone, I mean off man as well. If you're giving 8 yards of cushion all the time, that's almost a zone. So I think that will tell us about what the scheme's going to look like. Cool Mars, I talked about Hill before. There's no news. He's practicing, but he's not talking to the media, and they're not going to let him. So we're not going to hear anything. Young Adam. Jones leading the Chiefs in sacks this year. I think he might. But I think having a more even front all the way across will give more guys opportunity to chip in on sacks and pressures. And I think pressures are the more important thing. I think QB hits are nearly as good as sacks. You don't get the loss of yardage, but you make the quarterback just as jumpy and you move him off of his spot. So I like it. Let's see here. Next. What do you think? I don't know that what that means. Sorry. Horrid Night. Maybe reword that and ask me again. I'm not understanding your question. Lolip, by also being a former wide receiver, limited experience at corner, can Justin Lane be the next Richard Sherman? I don't know about Richard Sherman. Justin Lane can be a good corner, though. I like his skill set. And knowing how the wide receiver works, I think that's a good thing for him. So, yeah, I like Justin Lane. I think he's a day 2 guy, probably in the 3rd round. For a grade. He might get taken up just because of position versatility or position value. But I like Justin Lane. Jody McKay. Tight end in the 3rd. If the 2 tight ends, that's a potential replacement for Kelsey. I like that spot. The 3rd round, that's pick 93. I think that's a good spot. The guy I would target and hope that he's there is Foster Moreau out of LSU. A mover, a guy that's underrated, I think, overall, and a guy that would fit in this offense. Adam Daughtry, do you think they're going to catch the most passes this year? If Hill's here, it's going to be Hill. If not, it's going to be Kelsey. I'm pretty sure. Cool Mars, Robinson. Okay. He does get a starting role. We'll see what he gets. We'll see if he can keep it up. Mahomes, what's more annoying? And Alex Smith, check down Paris Tyreek Hill legal situation. And ask me football questions, man. What do you think about the chance of the Chiefs trading Hill on draft night? I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to ride it out unless there's an indictment or an arrest. I think Hill's going to be here. I could be wrong. I don't know about the extension, but I think he'll be here this season. Adderley, Watts, Lucas athleticism comparison. I haven't done a direct one, but Adderley's going to be the best of them. I can pull that up. Check out the draft guide. You can see Adderley's, and I'll pull some numbers and tweet it out. Just in general, I won't have all the graphics or whatever, but yeah, I can look at that for you. Adderley's going to be the best. Then I believe it's going to be Watts and then Lucas, if I remember how they scored out. Mike Dub, thanks for the donation. Binder Believer, you're on fire tonight. Thanks for another donation. I appreciate it. Okay, good question. Pass rusher, Collier or Menahue? Both are listed as 4-3 DNs. Menahue's more of a long edge classic type guy. Collier's a little more powerful. I think either of them can be had in probably the late 3rd, maybe even the 4th round, because that's where they grade out. I don't think all this hype about Menahue being a 2nd round guy is true. So I think both of them can do what Spags wants to do, but I think I would probably lean towards Menahue. But I will say this, the dark horse, one of my favorite guys in this draft at edge is Collier's teammate, Ben Banagu. 260, I want to say, can play stand-up or 4-3, is very, very explosive. He'd be a developmental guy, 3rd round probably as well, that you can stack behind, and I think he could grow into something special. So keep an eye out for him. Okay, Oliver Karen Caron. What do you think of Jerry Tillery to pair with Chris Jones? Had a visit and really liked the fit, and you are absolutely right. Olivier, my fault. I like Jerry Tillery a lot. And in the mock that we did at the Locked On Network, the Chargers took him just before we were able to pick. So Chris and I couldn't take him. But he's a guy that I have low end 1st or very top of the 2nd round. I like the way that he plays. And I think that would be a good pairing with Jones. But I also like Noddy. And I think they're going to give Noddy some run. So let's see what he does. Casey, where do you think they should go tight end with the 1st round pick? No, tight end is not a 1st round position to me. I would not do it. I'm kind of old school that way. If you don't have the value positionally, I wouldn't go for it in the 1st round. Travis Kelce's a 3rd round pick. And that should tell you something. Okay, Cool Mars. Do you like Daniel Sorensen in the blitz package? How would you play him? He's got to be a strong. He does not belong in the back of the defense. I've been saying that for 3 years. I think Spags is going to get that, and I think Spags will like Dan Sorensen. Curtis Douglas, thanks for the donation. How many DL are we going to carry? I think it's going to be 6 because you're talking about 2 actual spots, and I'm not counting Speaks, Okafor, Ogba. They're going to be the edge guys. They're going to call those DNs. I'm talking about interior guys. Overall, 6 at a max. I think it'll probably be 5 because I think they want to keep a rotation. It just depends how they feel about the edges and if they're going to throw them all in one room. Michael Willis, what do you think about Sue? I think he's old. I don't think he has the impact, and I don't think he'll be a Chief. Tyreek Hill. Wait, hold on. Skip too many. Sorry. Oh, Farmer, you're right. Veach does want to get younger and faster on defense. Flash Money. Thoughts on Jonathan Abram, safety from Mississippi? Is he a good fit to replace Sorensen? Yes, he is. I think he hits harder. I think he plays better coverage in the back when he does, but he is a strong safety. And I would still take Taylor Rapp over him because of his production on the ball. I think Rapp and Abram are right about even on my board. I think they're both good, strong safety types. Next. Move up in the draft to get Greedy Williams. All right, Caleb, I can get down with that. If that's who they have, that's who they have. Ronick, which ranking will give the Chiefs more for their defense? I'm not sure what that question means. 20th, 15th, or 25th. I think the Chiefs are going to get above 25. I think they're going to be somewhere between 15 and 20 overall, at least just based on the personnel that they're going to have. Cool Mars, did the Chiefs overpay for Watkins? Yeah, so far. I mean, but Sammy, he's explosive when he's on the field, but he's hurt a lot. If they can get him to not be hurt a lot, I think he could really pay off and make himself worth his contract. I think we should get Savage from Maryland. J.M. Werrell, I agree. I like him. I think he's going to be a second-round safety. Depending where they pick and if they move around, they could get him. I don't think he'll be there at 61. But I like Savage a lot. So, and I like the fact that he and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson can come down and play some nickel too. So that gives you that versatility thing. I think the Chiefs are going to like that. Okay, next. Hit the question marks at the beginning of your question, guys. What do you think about Jones will tie his record or even break it for most consecutive games with a sack? I think he might. I think Chris Jones is the real deal. I think they're going to have to pay him soon. I'm glad Hill's back. Any word on when me and Britt Chief are going to get together? You know, we're going to try and test something out. I don't know if we're going to get to it before the draft because we're both pretty busy. But Brad and I both have plans that me and Britt Chief, we will do something collaborative, across the oceans and everything. We'll make a big deal out of it when we get something planned. We'll let you guys know. Horde Knight, do you think K-Pass will get a chance to shine or just be another backup? I think they're going to let him have a chance in camp. I think he's got to make the most that he can in July, make an impression, and he might earn himself some time. He rushed from a wide 9 in college and was very effective at it. I think Spags is going to do that some. He's going to give him a chance. We'll see what he comes up with. That was a good question. A lot of people forget about K-Pass. Okay, Keith Hayden, thanks for your donation. Why keep Sorensen with a big contract when you can get another safety? We can get cheaper safety to play his role. The Chiefs like him. Andy Reid likes him. I don't know what Sutton feels, and I don't know how Spags feels. But the thing that Sorensen does best is blitz and play close to the line of scrimmage, and Spags likes that. So I think he's more of a fit now than he was before, and that's why they're probably going to keep him. I could be wrong. We'll see how he adapts and how he goes through OTAs. And then camp, it may come down to just how much of the defense he can actually perform. But that's a great question, and thanks for the donation. I appreciate it, Keith. Do you think, Richard Klein, can they get to the Super Bowl this year or next? Yes, they definitely can. They got to get this defense locked down, but if they can get to a middling defense, yes, they can make the Super Bowl. And if they get there, I think they can win it. Next question. Tom Gow. Oh, looks you're from Britain. Welcome. What do you think of Jonathan Abram at 29? I think that would be close to value. I think he's going to be, for me, a little bit lower. I think he's going to be a guy in the 30s at the top of the second. But the Chiefs may have different, criteria. Every team has their own set of criteria for their positional rankings. And if he's the top guy on their board that's available, then I'm perfectly fine with it. He makes a lot of plays. But it's more in the run game. It's not like he doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't get PBUs as much as a guy like Taylor Rapp. And I think right now coverage is a little bit more important for the strong safety role. Rapp can blitz as well, and Rapp is a really heady player. So I would take Rapp over Abram, but Abram would be right there. And they're my top two strong safeties. Mike James. Is Travarius Ward the real deal or the next Marcus Cooper? I think he's better than Marcus Cooper, but I don't know that he's the real deal. I don't know that he's going to be a lockdown corner that's going to take half the field away from the offense. And that's my thing. I think he's going to be a good player. I think he's going to be a good rotational player, but I don't know. And we're going to find out real quick whether he's exposed himself enough on tape that teams can try to do what they did to Marcus Peters. I mean, not Marcus Peters, Marcus Cooper. You were absolutely right. We will find out, Mike. Good question. Why did the Chiefs keep Robinson and let Conley go? Robinson's still under contract. He's cheap. He's a rookie. They were going to have to pay Conley. Conley made a nice contract in Jacksonville, and they're going to use him more. The Chiefs never did that, fade jump ball kind of thing in the end zone, and that's what Conley was really good at in college. So they didn't use him to his utmost. I think the Jacksonville Jaguars will. Yep, I said that before. Eaton or Ed, I agree with you there. Metal Rocker. Should the Chiefs get in the draft to put with Jones, Okafor, and the others? I really like a couple of the edges, to tell you the truth. I think Josh Allen belongs in the second half of the first round because he doesn't play the run that well. He doesn't have an inside counter, but he's got a nice speed rush, and he's big enough that he can develop those things. I'd like to see him on this team, but it isn't going to happen. Beyond that, I think Cleveland Farrell is a nice player that would fit more in the Spags role. And I'll tell you this. If Christian Wilkins drops to where Chiefs can get him, whether they move up to 22 or they take him at 29, if Christian Wilkins is there, he's a really nice player to put with Jones. He can do everything. He's disruptive. He can shoot gaps. I really like Christian. His game is nice. So have a look at that. Let's see here. Demetrius, okay, answered that. I'm sorry. Is he going into his old ways? The Honey Badger, so he can do an option to pair with Thompson, Nasir, Thornhill, or Rapp. Rapp would probably play up towards the line of scrimmage like you would want Matthew to, so he's a little closer to that robber role. Thornhill, Adderley, and Thompson would all be frees, so I think you could pair that with him. Ethan, what are your thoughts on Alex Barnes out of K-State or Washburn's Corey Ballantyne in rounds 4 through 6? I like Barnes. I do like the bigger backs that have some nimbleness to them, and Barnes is one of them. He's got a lot of athleticism that goes underrated, I think. So I would like to see him do that. And I think, they don't have a fourth round pick, but I think the sixth for sure. And we'll see if they stay without a fourth or if they move around. Same thing with Corey Ballantyne. I think he's a lower round pick. I think the level of competition is really going to hurt him. I don't think he can make that transition very quickly. He might be a 2 or 3 year project. Washburn's tough to get into the NFL for him, but we'll see what happens. Definitely in that range. I'm more than happy with them taking him. Biner Believer, Justin Lane or Lonnie Johnson. Thank you again for another donation. I appreciate it. Lonnie Johnson's really interesting. He moves well. He can produce. I think Lane had more production against interceptions and PBU, so I'd probably lean that direction. But they're both interesting second-tier, fringe, third-tier guys. I think if the Chiefs are going to play man, they want those long, tall, strong corners. Johnson is bigger, so that may lead them that way. I hear first-round buzz for him. I just don't believe it. I think he's low second, high third-round pick. I don't know, unless somebody just really falls in love with him. He is athletic, and he is super big, so he would fit what the Chiefs like. Okay, is the old school D finished? Yeah, the 3-4 look, they're done with that. They're going to be in a 4-man front all the time now, whether it's nickel or base behind it. They're going to have 4-man lines. Let's see here. Ian, should we give a late round pick for John Ross? No. John Ross is always going to be hurt. He's Sammy Watkins number 2, and he's a lot less able to go into the inside across the middle. So I would not give anything for John Ross. I wouldn't bring him onto the roster. Where do you find out about Locked On Draft? Aaron, you can subscribe anywhere. Google Podcasts, iTunes, Apple Podcasts, all of them. Any podcast app will have ability to go get it. Just search Locked On NFL. What do you think is special with defensive? How special you think the defensive coaches are combined from Norman Schreck? I think they all know each other. I think they all believe in the same system. I think they will all feed upon each other. So I am looking forward to come together. Spags has had a really up and down thing. If he can get pressure, he's been really successful. And so it's going to be a mush rush. It's going to move players around. If he can get that pressure, I think this staff will bring everybody together. I like the guys they have in the back end coaching, and I think it could be a very good staff. Hog Farmer. Do I visit Chiefs Planet? I do from time to time. I'm not one that hangs out on blog boards very often, just because I'm doing research and watching film and everything else. So I don't really have a lot of time to interact other than on here and a little bit on Twitter. I'm on Arrowhead Guys as well. Those guys do some great work, but I am on Chiefs Planet sometimes too, and I think those are all great. And I appreciate you guys and all of your support so far. And your next question from Binder: if we trade down, what would we get for picks? If you move down, say, into the 30 to 35 to 40 range, you can expect for that first round pick to pick up another third. So I'd like to see them get another pick, say, in the 65 to 75 range. That would be great. But if you drop from 29 to, say, 38, and you can get another one at 70, I think you're in really good shape to pick up players that can still help you. And if your grades are gone for first rounders, I think that's the best way to go. Thanks for that question. That's a good one. Which tight end would you draft? Foster Moreau in the third is the way that I would go. No. Question. Okay, is Spags going to make zone the base defense and coverage and use it as an on-needed basis? Noob Gaming. I think he's going to – before today, I felt like he was maybe going to go 50-50-ish just to try to keep it really disguised and keep everybody on their toes. Bashaud Breeland said today that he's been told he's going to play man. So it sounds like they're going to stick with man, and zone is going to be a change of pace, not something that they use with a whole lot of volume. Okay, we're getting down here, 45 minutes. I'm getting close to have to record with Matt, so we're going to start winding this up. Damian Williams over 1,000 yards. I don't think so, Adam, but I think he could get 800. Answered that one. Few good D linemen. Dexter Lawrence. All the Clemson guys are decent in there. Tillery is going to be a 20 to 60 guy. Demonte Moore, sorry. Another good option in there. I'd have to pull up my draft board, which I don't have working right now. Binder Believer, Dexter Lawrence opinion. I think Dexter did get a little bit of bump from playing with Farrell on one side and Wilkins on the other. So together, I think they helped each other. But I think Dexter's going to be a force. It's just that, he's a huge nose tackle type. And yes, Spags is going to call the 4-3 under, which is going to use a shaded one technique nose type. But I don't think as a first round pick, that's what the Chiefs need to do. Safety corner, they're just too big in needs to go for a nose tackle in the first round this year. So, but I like the way he's going to play. Good question. Thanks for bringing him up. I think the Chiefs will go defense in the first 3 rounds, and that other pick will be either wide receiver or a tight end. Unless they just, trade back and they get 5 picks in the first 3 rounds. We'll have to see what happens then. Terrell Tyrants. Have you watched any film on Jamel Dean? I have seen one game on him. I can't remember who it was against. He looked solid. He looked athletic. Good, but late day 2, maybe an early day 3 guy for me. I didn't see enough to make me go watch more games. So that might mean something. Or I could be totally wrong. So I didn't see a whole lot that made me really jump out. So Metal Rocker, do you think the Chiefs will go to Alabama or Georgia for a good defensive player? I don't think they care. I think Georgia's got some players they like. They have traditionally, but I don't know if that was Sutton's influence or somebody else's or one of the scouts. I think Ryan Nutt's got a lot of influence in the way that they draft because of his evaluation. So I think that comes down to it. I think Alabama, they like certain players for what they are. I don't think a Mac Wilson, somebody that's going to stand out to them, though. Thompson, maybe. I don't know. Favorite interior lineman to look for in the second or third? Whew. I think Tillery's going to be a second round pick, so I'd go with that, but I don't know. And I assume you mean interior player on the defensive side. On the offensive side, it'd probably be Eric McCoy on the second day. I like him. And Lindstrom. Lindstrom's a really athletic guy, a guy that could push for the athleticism that Mitch Morse had. So look for him too, but he might be a higher day or round 2 pick. Mahomes, does Mahomes having dinner with McVay or Kingsbury bother you at all? No. He's not going to give away any draft secret, any secrets about the Chiefs offense. And quite frankly, McVay and Kingsbury, they got their hands full, so I ain't too worried about it. I didn't hear that. If that's true, I'm eh. Hey Paddock, thanks. It's kind of my thing now. Butta. It's when I try to read, I'm slow. Have you had a chance to look at film on Arkansas Razorback Froholt? I have not looked at film on him, but I've read several people that I trust that feel that he is a quality player that they should be looking at. So I will try to get around to him before the draft. I just don't know if it's going to happen. Any thoughts on Byron Murphy visit? Stephen Taylor, I don't know that Byron Murphy's been for a visit. I haven't heard specifically. If he has, then I'm sure they're kicking the tires and trying to see just how much man he can play. And if so, I think he could definitely be on the radar. He's the best corner in the draft, in my opinion. Ian Connis, what player would you like to see the Chiefs make a trade for outside of the draft? Pat Peterson is the one player that I think I would go after. I think he provides a value that is unable to be found in the draft, and can really turn this defense around, more so than an edge rusher. In the 4-3 specifically. That's what I mean to say. Next, Travis Miller. I get that we want Badger at strong. Why do you keep mentioning guys you like at strong? Travis, I'm answering questions, and I don't know that the Chiefs want him at strong. Initially, they were thinking free. So I think what they want is versatility. That's the name of the game for them. No, Tyreek has not been cleared. Scott, man, are the players working out? No, they're in phase 1, so they get to go strength conditioning with Coach Barry Rubin, who's got a really good reputation around the NFL as a strength conditioning coach, and they get to do rehab and they get to have meetings. They won't be on the field for like 7-on-7s or anything. I think they'll drill, but I think that's about it. I'm not even sure if they can drill, to tell you the truth. So what do you think about running back at all in this draft? Brandon Bentley, good question. I'm fine with it on day 3, but I would not take a top 100 pick on a running back, particularly in this class, but in general. They took, let's see, I can't remember what the pick was for Hunt, but it was a 3rd round. And I think that's okay on a fringe if you have a good class like his was. But this class, no way. I don't even have that many that belong to be in the top 100 picks. Aaron Morrow. Oh, thanks for the pump up. The draft guide's fun and it's got a lot of information in it. How much draft capital we have to give up to get to the 15 to 20 range that I was talking about. To get to the 15 to 20, you have to give up the 29 pick, and I think you have to give up either one of the seconds this year or one of the seconds next year. That's what it's going to cost. And if you think that it's an impact player like an edge or a corner, I think that's worth it, because those are 2 of the top 4 positions of any need on any team anywhere. So if that's how they feel, I think that's decent value. And if we do hear about them going up, I'm guessing that's what the target's going to be, because I know they like Rapp, but he's going to be there for them. I think some of the other guys, one of the centers, one of the interior defensive linemen, they're all going to be there. So they might have to move up a couple places if they really wanted somebody. But I think if they move up, we're looking at something like either a prime time edge rusher, corner, or possibly a wide receiver. Any word on Kelvin Benjamin? No, he's a free agent. He's not coming back. I haven't seen any interest in him from anyone, let alone the Chiefs. So, Aaron, thank you for your comment and your donation. I appreciate it. You're keeping me running these days, dude. Okay. Walter, we're cracking. Are we trading up for a CB like Greedy or DeAndre Baker? I don't think you're going to trade up for DeAndre Baker. I'm not sure he makes it into the first round. I know people the last couple of days have been talking about him jumping back up. Maybe. I don't know. I think he might be there in the 30s. So we'll see. And who do we get in that 15 to 20 range? If you want names, Aaron, I'm talking if Allen fell, maybe Montez Sweat, if he fell into the teens. Byron, or Greedy. I think they're all going to be in that 15 to 25 range. If the value reads the way that I've read it, we'll just have to see. Oh, Stephen Taylor, thank you. Byron Murphy is supposedly meeting with the Chiefs on Friday. So, okay. Yeah, that could mean something. But hey, that's going to be important. Man, I like that. I would like that fit, but I really do think that would mean they were going to play more off man or zone. So maybe not. I could be wrong. Maybe they have faith in him. So cool, Mars. Thanks for hanging out. Good to see you. Mike James, is Byron Pringle going to make an impact? I had the feeling the team liked him to keep it, or IR'd him to keep him on the practice squad. I think that might come back. I think Pringle's a question mark. I think they like what they saw. I don't know if they specifically redshirted him to keep him like they did with the quarterback a couple of years ago. I think he's got a shot. He's going to get a shake, but I think Dieter and Kemp are going to give him some competition too. So we'll see. Excuse me, guys. Hog Farmer, thank you. Hard. Okay, I'm not sure what you meant, Joel. I didn't get that question. Metal Rocker, I'm a fan. Yeah, I think they could go offense in the second or third round. I don't think it'll be a first rounder unless they really fall in love with somebody. But I think the second day they could go one of the picks in offense. I don't think it'll be a lot, but I think it could be one. Stephen Taylor, thank you again. Ian Canes, sorry. Where would you target a linebacker in this draft? I could see them going third round, maybe second round if they really like somebody. I like Drew Tranquil quite a bit. I think the 90s would be a good spot for him. And definitely on day 3. So there's options there, and there's athletes there. Cole Holcomb's going to be interesting. He's an undersized, like nickel linebacker guy that'll be there in the 6th round probably. So Aaron, my wife thought I should let you know that possibly getting a new shirt vendor. The lettering on the back has already come. Oh, really? Oh, well, thanks for letting me know that. Yeah, I might look into that. That's the first report I've had of anything on the merch not coming back great. Thank you for letting me know that, and I will double check with them. If you need to return it, return it. Teespring has a really good return policy. And folks, for any of you listening, you can get RGR merch in the store, but I may be adding somebody new if that's the case. Aaron, thanks for letting me know that. Josiah Bell, thoughts on interior O-line at 29. Bradbury, if he's there, I think Lindstrom's probably can be gotten later. I think that would necessitate a trade back. That's probably about it in my book. I'll have to see what my big board shakes out to. I'll have my draft board up next week. I'll put it up probably at LockedOnChiefs.com, and I'll do a video about it. We can take a look at it. So, okay, last couple of questions. Brandon Bentley, do you think that Andy Reid said he finds interior O-line pretty easily, that he wouldn't bother drafting one in the first 3 rounds? I don't know about no matter what, but that's probably how he feels. He feels that he can get athletic linemen and make them into good blockers. And he's had a good track record of it. Look at LDT. So, yeah, Anthony Freeman, look at your thoughts on Benny Snell. I like the way Benny runs. He's one of the guys that I would like to see. I just don't know how the NFL is going to value him. I see him as probably a day 3 guy, high in day 3, possibly sneaking into like the 90s. But I just don't know how the NFL really sees him. There are some limitations, but I love the way he runs. And I like a power back that can stay between the tackles and hurt somebody and then maybe jump out and catch a pass. So I'm down with that. Matt Masters, thanks for the donation. And I appreciate it. I will keep going if you guys keep coming. So we're in good shape. How much will Jones play at DE? Josh, I think they'll move him around a little bit. He's definitely got the ability to go out there. So last couple questions. Ian, what do you think about the most underrated Chiefs player going into this season so far? Underrated is probably Noddy, in my opinion, on the defense. Should the Chiefs change their uniforms? Never, Zach. Nope, they're classic. That's what Lamar came up with. I say they leave it alone forever. How do you feel about Renell Wren, Luis? I like Wren. I think he's got a ways to go. He needs some coaching. But I do like what he does, and I think he's got the athleticism to play in the league. So we'll see where he comes in at. Thank you, Adam. Thank you guys all for hanging out. We got over 300 at one point again. That's another good hour down, so I appreciate you and all of your help and all your donations tonight. Aaron Morrow, I will check out the Teespring store, and I'll see about getting another vendor as well. Probably won't happen until after the draft, but I'll look at that. And please, if you're having trouble with any of the merch that you bought from Teespring, send it back to them. I believe it's a 30-day guarantee, if not more. So please do that. I want you guys to be happy with it, and I'll do anything I can to help you. Thank you all for your time, and I'll talk to you next week.